Welcome back. Let's return to our top story, which is the murder of 9 people at a tavern in Bekkersdal. 10 others were wounded in yesterday's attack. Security analyst Azaniah Mnisi joins us now for more. Azaniah, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. Maybe let's perhaps start with just talking about your assessment, specifically when it comes to the violent crimes that we are seeing as mass shootings in Gauteng and South Africa as a whole that now seemingly seems to be on the rise.
Good evening and good evening to the viewers at home. The violent shootings that we see across the country is a cause for concern. One wonders what exactly is going wrong in our country. But be as it may, it cannot be right and cannot be acceptable that in a country like ours that is not at war, every day we are losing about 64 people. 64 people are being killed daily, and mostly are killed by firearms. And it is my considered view that rightfully so, the president designated GBV as a national disaster. It is my considered view and opinion that it is about time that these violent killings of our people should be classified and designated as a national disaster, and proper actions should be taken to root out this evil within our country.
Talking about those proper actions, when we spoke to the community of Bekkersdal, they were talking about how there really isn't any police visibility within that area, and they believe that this contributes towards the violent crime that is often seen there. And we also spoke to the Liquor Traders Association, and they were saying that it's quite unreasonable to expect many of those tavern owners to have increased security, because then it wouldn't make any business or financial sense to them. So what measures could be taken to improve the effectiveness of security at high-risk venues such as taverns, and especially in crime hotspots?
If the president moves to declare this a national disaster, all resources will have to be made available to SAPS to counter and fight this problem and fight it to win and fight it effectively. I call it a war. We, as I said, we are the most violent country that is not at war. The people that are dying in our country daily, they are not equivalent to people who are dying in countries that are engaged in active civil strife or war, in Ukraine, for instance. So what needs to be done is that once it is designated as a national disaster, like what we did during the time of COVID, we release all strength and the might of the state to go and fight these crimes, because these crimes, we know where it emanates from. It emanates from these activities of illegal mining, our porous borders. So it should be a coordinated strategy that should go all out to make sure that we arrest this situation, we take control, we subdue it, because it cannot be treated with kind gloves. This, on its own, as I said, is a war declared against our people in this country. The proliferation of heavy armory or ammunition and rifles within the hands of criminals is not anything that we can clap hands on. It's something that we must frown upon and make sure that we take over our country. Because if you see in all these violent crimes that the shootings are happening, people are using high caliber weapons. And until when will we frown upon this thing of having high caliber weapons in the hands of criminals? So we need to mop out, clean up. This is the war. It can't be treated like it's just by the way kind of a thing. We cannot continue as a country moving in like this. So a war must be declared on criminals, and then let's engage in the war and let's clean up.
So you term this a war, and the deputy mayor of that region has actually called for military intervention. What do you think are the pros and cons of deploying the SANDF to such a situation?
My considered view is that we should not politicize the deployment of the SANDF in places where we need their capacity. We have wasted so much opportunities when rightfully so the government of the Western Cape, when they were battling the issue of gang violence, called for the president, different presidents for that matter, to deploy the army in those highly dangerous places. We take time to make up our mind and make up proper decisions. We need to ensure that where the state is being threatened, the might of the state must be seen and must be seen working and must be seen overcoming and cleaning up what is happening. So the pros and cons of that is that we should look at what is in the interest of the state. Do we really need to treat criminals and crime with kind gloves? If that is working for us, let's move on like that. But if it's not working for us, as I said, this is the war. We cannot continue to have mass shootings and look at it as if it's one of those things that is acceptable within the country. It's not acceptable. It cannot be acceptable. In fact, in most accountable countries, someone's head was supposed to roll, and someone effective was supposed to take over and run the police. So we are failing to protect the nation. And it's a constitutional right, by the way, that our citizens should be protected. So there are more reasons for the president to make sure that we release the SNDF to go and fight this war on behalf of the citizens, because the rights of the people are being trampled upon, and people cannot live freely in their country. Because at any time, one thing that we're certain about in the country is that at any time, at any day, you can be shot and killed.
Yeah, and I mean, the residents of Bekkersdal was speaking about how this is not the first incident. In fact, there are many incidents where they are seeing people being shot within that community. How do you think repeated violent incidents affect just the community trust in law enforcement and as well as in local government?
We have traces of these evil acts. Horrible incidences that happened, especially in areas associated with illegal mining. So obviously, the public trust has eroded on SAPS, and it will take the willing government to make sure that we restore the trust of the people to the SAPS. My view is that SAPS is capable. It needs support. It does not need political interferences on operational matters, as we were seeing now in the Madlanga Commission and also in the ad hoc commission. So we need to allow the SAPS to do what they're supposed to do and hold them accountable. So it's like running your own organization or company. You hire people to do the job. If they fail to do the job, you get others who can do the job. So let's allow and give strength, space, and time for SAPS to do what they're capable of doing. And I believe that they can be able to take over. They can be able to clean up. They can be able to make sure that the public trust is restored and crime is under control in the country. As long as we support them and allow them to do their job and make sure that politicians don't form part of operational decisions, because that's wherein we lose it, and that's wherein we've seen that gangsters, criminals, and clowns, they're taking over our country because we've allowed wrong people to have so much control on what is happening in the SAPS.
All right, Baba Mnisi, thank you so much for your time and joining us this evening. That's Azaniah Mnisi, security analyst, saying that the state rather should declare violent crime a war, and that we should give enough support to SAPS as they are more than capable of dealing with such incidences.